could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red. Conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Esports Club presents Community Cup Season 3 for Rainbow-Six-Siege, supported by Ubisoft, powered by Zotec Gaming, and of course, our broadcast partner Loco here with me as myself, Augusta. With me, I have our co-caster Aggressive, as we are here to talk about the final lower brackets matchup for this season. We've seen a lot of fights been happening on the upper brackets matchup, and today we only have one match, and that is the lower brackets. The winner of this, Team Uvu versus Crouch Potatoes, will have a spot to the grand finals. And I've got to say, the grand finals will be a best of five. And I've got to ask you a question here, Aggressive. Between these two teams, who do you think that they will have a spot on the grand finals?
Honestly, in my eyes, Crouch Potatoes and the way that they've been playing, it's kind of phenomenal to say the very least. Because yeah, the team has a really easy start right off the bat, but they have a tendency of having trouble to close out maps. We saw that yesterday, and good God, was it? Let's say very interesting show. But then again, Team Ubu on the other side of the spectrum, they're quite clean, they're quite fine, and the way that they're able to take so many of their engagements is just much more pristine because in my eyes the team just has a lot more control over what they really want to do as a squad. They know exactly how to play around with each other, plus they know their strengths and weaknesses a lot better than the side of Crouch Potatoes in a lot of different instances, and because of it I'm going to be looking towards Team U a little bit more. That's going to be my prediction. But Crouch Potatoes, they're really strong if they're having a good day. But as soon as you hit them with a couple of stops and you try to put a halt to a lot of their pick based and hit and run tactics, I would say it's a much more better word for it, then is the point where they start to fall a lot more. Let's head on down over towards the brackets to see exactly how everything's been looking from top to the side and all the way to the very bottom. Because again, I have to reiterate, that it's been a long journey for the teams, and we're going to be jumping down over to the formats first before we go into that. It's been a long journey, and right now we're at the closing moments. This is the decider finals. Qualifier ones came through, qualifiers two came through, and at the start of playoffs, we had 8 teams. We had literally 8 teams, and now we're down to the top three. It
Yep,
was a long one, man. It was a long and arduous process.
yep. It was a long day indeed. Aggressive. All the way from 4th August to get our total of 8 teams to qualify for the playoffs, and now we're just down to three. Three teams being Team Water Boys, Team Uvu, and Crouch Potatoes, who are yet to have a spot in this grand finals. And they are currently fighting for the top spot. The winner of this Community Cup Season 3 will receive a total of 6,000 credits per player. So that is approximately around 30,000 credits for all 5 players, including in this event. So 6,000 credits is a lot, and having a spot on the grand finals also can secure that's a second and third place as well too. So all in all, you've got to say that teams like Uvu and Crouch Potatoes, they are here to get their revenge match. And I mean, just like I talk about it in the prize pool itself, first place to receive 6,000 credits, second place with 3,000 credits, third and fourth 1,800 credits, fifth and sixth with a total of 1,200 credits, of course. And then we have our last position, seventh and eighth place, who will receive 600 credits per player. We've already determined who will, who has this spot from all the way from top 8 to top 4. Now we've got to see who will secure third place in this Community Cup series. Will it be Team Uvu, or whether or not will it be Team Crouch Potatoes who will secure the spot on third place or get the chance on grand finals? This match will determine exactly what's going to happen here.
That's for certain. It's going to be a long process, though, at the very end of the day. We're expecting 3 maps to come in, but it really does depend on how Uwu will be feeling toward a couple of their instances. But again, Uwu, they have a lot of tendencies that really does fall flat on their face. Again, Uwu, a team that have a lot of strategies that really did give them that emphasis to be like, hey, I'm here. You see my presence, and I'm gonna be shooting you in the head. Drish is like the prime example for all of it. As we head on down over towards the brackets, we can paint the picture a little bit better as well from our ends, because Team Uwu versus Waterboys is possibly one of the, I don't know what to say about that game, because we casted it together, right,
Yep.
Baba? And
Hmm.
Team Uwu just didn't hit the mark at all that day. Waterboys, they were bodying them left and right. And I'm really hoping this is not going to be the case here in the lower bracket deciders, because I have no clue. At this stage, you need to come on back strong. You need to iron out those problems because Crouch Potatoes, they make similar mistakes. But at the same time, Crouch Potatoes, they are a lot more cleaner. They're a little bit more organized on that end. And Team Uwu, they have the same level of organization. But after what I saw against Water Boys, I'm a little bit more on the uneasy side for them. They are highly contested to be the ones to win, in my personal opinion. But if they do the same performance against Water Boys, then I don't know, man. It could be a little bit more problematic.
Absolutely aggressive. The way how Water Boys just shown their presence, 2-0 up against Team Uvu. Map number one, it was 7-1, and then next thing you know, we saw map number two, ending things off on a 7-3 score line on a map being on Skyscraper, and now with them being in the lower brackets, knowing that they have to fight up against
Veto is
Team Crouch
important.
Potatoes, will be a tough matchup to talk about here. And especially the map vetoes will get to determine on which side will it favor the most. Oregon from Team Uvu, Border from Crouch Potatoes, and then we have our decider, Skyscraper. Oh boy. Team Uvu, I'm pretty sure that their main focus is to ensure not to bring in Skyscraper because, I mean, just like you saw that major example between Team Water Boys, the attack and defense was not looking too good from their end. Crouch Potatoes, on the other hand, will stay powerful to their own map pick, Border. So the only question is, will they get to win the opposition's map pick and ensure that they would put themselves on a 2-0 score line? That's the question that I asked to you, Aggressive.
I will say that the band picks are pretty smart, but I'm a little bit on the more dicey side, and I'm questioning why they let the side of Border through as well. Chalet is a must ban. Like, you have to ban Chalet going up against Crouch Potatoes. This is one particular map that you really do not want to fight this team on. But I do believe that letting Clubhouse through and banning out Oregon would have been a much more of a better option for the side of Team Uwu. Because Clubhouse, a map that has been prominent throughout the entire scene for years now. Plus, on the other side of the spectrum, we have Crouch Potatoes, who have shown a lot of weaknesses on this particular map when it came down to playing different types of strategies. Yesterday, we saw possibly one of the most questionable moments in the entirety of Siege history, where Crouch Potatoes started on the attacking side, where they had a Thatcher going up against the Bandit, and the Bandit tricks just completely demolished them in more ways than one. When you have those kind of problems being omnipresent on the side of Crouch Potatoes, you would expect there to be a couple of different iterations with people VOD reviewing them and just trying to figure out exactly what they've been doing throughout the matchup. But to let Oregon through a map that is very much fundamental based, Crotch Potatoes could have an advantage on that particular map. And of course, Border, one of their home favorites, one of their best pickups that we have seen, but also a map where they get a little bit too over eager in the way that they start peaking angles. And sometimes, just sometimes, they fall flat. And it could be the exact same reason why they lose out in some of their games.
For Crouch Potatoes, I'm pretty sure that on a map like Oregon, the first map, high likely chances that Uvu could, have a tough fight up against them because Oregon is a very standard map nonetheless. And Team Crouch Potatoes, knowing that they brought in Border on map number two, clearly shows that they have a lot of good control on on the second map itself. But Oregon, I'm pretty sure that the first half itself would end up on a 3-3 score line, mainly because of how great they are on both defense as well as on offense. Uvu, on the other hand, are they're an exceptional player when it comes to making individual plays. Their accuracy shots are pristine. The same thing can be said for Team Crouch Potatoes too. The only difference between them is that they're very good coordinated when it comes to making an attack push, or should I say a defensive strategy, where you'd have at least one roamer roaming around side to waste a lot of time or just give protection whenever things necessary. And Crouch Potatoes, they're always, they're always slow and steady, right? They'll always take their time. They want to understand how the players would play. If they would play, aggressively, they'll just play to it accordingly to ensure that they could just have some breathing room and ensure they can just remove players one by one. Uvu, on the other hand, they're more likely to make, just like I said, individual plays. They're more likely to go in for
Yep.
spawn peaks. You have players like Dresh and Dagger who just love to make those aggressive peaks, wide peaks that is, that would put Crouch Potatoes in a bit of an unexpected play. But if they expect the unexpected, I'm pretty sure that Team Crouch Potatoes wouldn't have to deal with these issues on map number one. So I mean, it's all down to the match being able to start and the way how it ends up between these two teams here. Aggressive.
Yeah, the match is going to be starting out soon enough, ladies and gentlemen. And as soon as it does, I'm really hoping to see a little bit more of an emphasis on team play coming in from Crouch Potatoes. Again, their own gameplay just really didn't feel reminiscent of them playing together as a squad. In some instances, they just have the best pop-off moments of their entire career. On the other side of the spectrum, they just start being, let's just say, a little bit more on the more dicier side, because again and again, whenever we see a team perform in a very lackluster fashion, we always emphasize on one key important factor. What is the team's game plan moving down the line? Why did you make such a swing? What did you try to even gain out of it? Why did you drone forward? Again, Crouch Potatoes, they have an issue when it comes down to their drone play. They're not really using their drones to take controls of sections of the map where they use one of the players to utilize the information being gained by the drone. Instead, they use their drones, gain the info, and they're like 10 miles away. The information that the drone has already gathered is like gone in like less than 5 seconds. What are you trying to do with that type of play? And I'm really hoping that this is what's not going to happen for the side of Crouch Potatoes once more for this particular instance, because their backs are against the wall. They don't really have a lot of chances to try and reiterate the mistakes that they did previously. But coming in for the bans, Finka coming out early, and the Sophia getting shut down immediate on the secondary. Okay, never mind. Now that is a little bit spicy. All right.
All right. A Zofia ban from Crouch Potatoes. And I've got to say this, Aggressive. Never have I ever expected a matchup between Uwu and a Potatoes that can crouch. But yeah, what a way to have our final lower brackets matchup between Crouch Potatoes and Team Uwu to battle it out for the grand finals, where they have to go up against Team Water Boys. That's kind of poetic, don't you think? Talk about the defensive bans. We will see Mira being banned out from the Team Crouch Potatoes, which means Uwu will have the final bans.
Wait,
and it will be the
hello?
captain.
Give me a second.
Wow.
Hello?
All right. That actually did rhymed in the end, though, you know? They wanted to ban Cap Can mainly because of his EDDs, right? But these are some interesting bans coming in from Team Uwu. First the Zofia ban and now Cap Can.
Now I've seen everything.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me what did they really get out of banning that Capcan early on? Again, I question a lot of things, and for the first time in the longest time, we're actually going to be witnessing an Ella getting picked up. Especially after the recent nerfs to Ella and how her recoil has increased. I didn't expect people to pick her up again.
And let's not forget about the huge nerfs for the F412 shotgun, which in fact doesn't deal a lot of major damage. But all in all, yeah, bringing in a Scorpion Evo particularly means that Uwu wants to challenge themselves. Especially Dresh. And I'm pretty sure that he'll be using more of his pistols than his primary weapon, Scorpion Evo. That I'm certain that is going to happen nonetheless. But yeah, there you go. Round number 1. Curious bans being made from Uwu's end and also from Crouch Potatoes, banning Zofia and Cap Can. Now with the side being on Kids Doms and Dom's main hall, it's still interesting that Crouch Potatoes haven't picked Thatcher just yet. So technically you could say that this round number 1 will find a lot of surprises here, Aggressive, and that is for certain.
Guarantee. But again, this Ella pick is just, I don't know how I feel about this at all. I haven't seen an Ella in professional play in about what? Almost 4 years-ish? I have no idea. It's been so long since you last seen an Ella anywhere.
Mm-hmm. It's I mean, if I have to over exaggerate it must have been a decade. It's like 10 years. We didn't get to see Ella being brought out. And even with the F412 being so powerful, we just got another patch where even the F412 got nerfed. Mainly because of the damage and the recoil increase of that shotgun. So I'm pretty curious to know what will happen though. First frag it is. It will be DZ to start things off. We're taking out Naughty Ashret, so the Nook's stealthy approach will not be able to give a major damage towards Uwu's end, and you could say that Uwu are looking good in this first round.
Causing some issues on that end. These good shots, taking out Vinci a little bit too early here. The alibi still looking for even more fights than these. It's an absolute menace. He's just constantly trying to take these engagements as fast as he possibly can, but I like the play coming in from the attackers, but it just fell flat immediately. The poor boys they don't even know how they're going to be making this entry happen yet. They've lost so much control, but Dark Lord maybe opening things up with a proper grenade. Just really gonna catch for anything, and Dagger, he just already knows the position. One by one, they're dropping their bodies. It's already a 2v5, and they've barely established any map control throughout this entire game.
There's only 2 players left from Crouch Potatoes who still need to figure out a way to remove players on the side. They've lost their hard breaches. Actually, I just realized they still have a hard breacher, but it's just a... Yeah, that's just a breaching torch. But all in all, losing 2 grenades, in which the grenades couldn't connect towards the kitchen side. Cobra, unfortunately, had to go in for a disconnect, mainly because of something happened from his end. But all in all, this would end up on a 1v5 situation where Crouch Potatoes, aka Dark Lord, will just patiently wade in towards the bathroom side and wait for the timer to tick down to 0.
Do we even say anything at this point? Cobra's going to be back, though. Small issues all around, but again, it was a 2 versus 5 situation with only 30 seconds left. It would have been very difficult to try and find something. Good chunks of damage being done already. And Kattles with a swing to get that final frag out from the side. Good refrags and a good hold. But again, that entire push left a lot to be desired for on the back end of it. Crouch Potatoes, what was the game plan there going forward on that? They had no tower control. They all funneled into the first floor trying to go in for nade kills. And their drones were non-existent. What did they try to do in that scenario? Valkyrie's going to get picked up, though, in this round, and the Doc. All right. I think we're going to be in for a ride. That's for certain. Man, Drish just pulls off the most interesting operators that we haven't seen in, like, years. Moving back from that, though, we do see a little bit more of a problematic situation coming in from the other end of this. Ooh, they have a lot of information, and they also have a lot of heals to play very aggressive. There's a Dog, there is a Thunderbird. So they have an opportunity to use a lot of that utility to be a lot more aggressive in the way that they're taking fights. But then again, how aggressive can you be when your floor is basement? Full control over on the top side, you have a Valkyrie for information. So this would be interesting, but at the same time, could be something different.
I believe we are... Apparently, the players on the side of Team Crouch Potatoes are experiencing technical issues, so I believe a rehost might be in play for Team Crouch Potatoes. So, yeah, I think round number 2 will, be reset. There won't be any changes at all from the changes whatsoever. So, yeah, again, apologies for the issues being conducted from the in-game itself. It's out of our hands, folks. The only thing that we could do is just wait for a minute or two and ensure that the rest of the players would not have any problems from their end. But to start it off, it was, however, Team Uwu who ended up getting their first round win on second floor Kids Jumps. Some changes in their attack picks, nothing unusual about it. They decided to challenge gunfights. They didn't choose to gain control of their major choke points by opening up lines of sight on second floor Kids, nor on Attic. We didn't see any presence being made from the Windows side itself. You could say that Crouch Potatoes were on their own mind, making their own individual plays, and technically it didn't ended out quite well in their favor in first round itself. So Uwu, although I would say that in round number 1 we didn't get to see them make any individual plays as of now, it was just the roam games instantly just popped off well for Uwu's end. Second round will be the deciding factor for Team Crouch Potatoes, whether or not if it would work out or not, but we just have to wait for it.
Just have to wait and see how the team beats.